Dear Esther Lutz from Boycott Turkey Campaign, thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
How do you comment on the arms trade between Turkey and UK? It has been many times proved that the British-made guns and bombs have been used by Turkish troops to kill civilians in Kurdistan. So, what is your comments on that issue?
Yeah, so obviously the British government sees the Turkish state as a pretty key NATO ally and has really, really strong arms trade with them. There are billions of dollars of export licenses coming from the UK each year to arm the Turkish state. And I think what we need to see really clearly is the link between money being made by British companies and the British state, and the war in Rojava and the suppression of Kurdish resistance within Turkey, and that those resistances are being suppressed directly by British arms. And I think that means, as people living in Britain, we have a responsibility to intervene in various ways, whether that is by blockading arms factories, as we've seen people do, or lobbying and putting pressure on in other ways. But we have to find a way of intervening and seeing the British complicity in the wars in and around Turkey.
Do you think UK is looking for new markets and trade partners after the Brexit? Is Turkey and Erdogan regime is a good option for British traders?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and especially so Turkey's already quite a big trade partner with the UK. They already, in 2018, there were about 11 billion of export licenses going out to Turkey. They're also big import partners, and I think that's obviously going to increase as we leave Brexit, as we leave the EU in just a few days' time, when we're going to lose access, or lose such straightforward access to big European markets, which currently make up so much of Britain's trading partners. And obviously Turkey's only just outside the EU. It's quite near, and they're already allied in NATO, so it's quite an obvious alternative partner. And I think in this country we really do need to be saying we shouldn't be trading with Turkey, given the human rights abuses, the arrests of MPs and academics within Turkey, and the wars they're fighting outside. It becomes, the more we trade with Turkey, the more we are funding those things, given that all of this is reliant on, and Erdogan's power base is reliant on him having a strong economy and having a strong trading relationship with countries like the UK.
Could you please tell us about the Boycott Turkey campaign? What has been done for the campaign in the UK, and what is the realistic planning for the campaign in the next year? What does the campaign aims?
Yeah, so the campaign kind of really got going just over a year ago now, during Turkey's invasion of Rojava last October. And we kind of developed a four-strand strategy here. One is focusing on a boycott of Turkish brands, another on cultural institutions in Turkey, third one academic boycott, and the fourth one is being stop arming Turkey. And we think these four strands are obviously very tied together, but are also quite separate. And a lot of the focus in the past year has been on the stop arming Turkey, which I've already spoken about a bit, and also on the tourism boycott, because actually from the UK, a really big, like, Turkey's a huge tourist destination from the UK, and companies like TUI, which is a package holiday company, as well as obviously things like Turkish Airlines, which have direct ties to the Erdogan family, make a lot of money from UK markets, from people who want to go on all-inclusive beach holidays, basically. And so we've done some pickets outside TUI stores and that kind of thing, just to try and make people, because I think a lot of people genuinely don't know in this country what the Turkish state does. So I think there's a real need to make people aware, but also make people make different decisions about where they're going on their beach holidays, and that Turkey isn't just a benign place you can go on holiday. And then on the brand side of things, we kind of identified a few key brands that make it easier to boycott rather than giving people huge lists that I think are much harder to follow and become quite complicated. So things like BEKO, the fridge company, because it's quite straightforward just to buy a different fridge, right? But also things like Nike we've put on there because Nike sponsors the Turkish football team and gives quite a lot of credibility and money that way. So it's not only directly Turkish companies, it's other companies that we see as being complicit in bolstering the Erdogan regime.
How can individuals boycott Turkey and how can people support the campaign?
So in terms of individuals, I think the good thing about a boycott is it is actually quite a simple thing to support in lots of ways. In that it is don't holiday in Turkey. It's don't buy from certain brands that we've called to boycott, like BEKO. So those things are quite straightforward. And in terms of the cultural boycott, don't kind of go to gigs in Turkey, don't perform in Turkey. So in some ways, it's quite easy to take individual actions. But also, if it's possible to get more involved in that, you can look on our Twitter and our website, and we do have periodic actions and call outs for more specific things. It's really helpful to kind of tweet about it, be on Facebook about it, raising awareness, because I think that's how we build this boycott, is by getting more people knowing about it and then more people taking action.
Many Kurds traveling from Europe to Turkey every year, and large number of Kurdish investors have houses, and many Kurds are doing businesses in relation with Turkish regime. What is your message, call to community, why people should boycott Turkey, and do you think boycotting Turkish goods in Europe and ending business relations with will have a strong impact on Turkish regime's policies on Kurds?
Yeah, I think it's obviously more complex. Often for a lot of Kurds who have really long-standing links with Turkey, and especially if they're from Baku, say. But I think there is a real need to, especially anything which has direct ties with the regime, because as you start to economically hit Turkey, what you'll see is, as the lira crashes, Erdogan is losing power, and we've seen that as the lira has been crashing anyway, and the boycott can really put that pressure on. And I think if we can build a kind of global movement with global criticism and global momentum behind it around boycotting Turkey, then you will start to see changes. And we know this historically, say with the UK and the boycott of South African goods during the apartheid era was really successful, and it became a real mass movement that did contribute eventually to the fall of apartheid. And I think we're seeing the same now with the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign against Israel, that has really built momentum, and I think built an understanding around what Israel does. And I think you can see the same could happen with Turkey.
Kurdish woman politician Leyla Goran has been sentenced and taken from her home illegally to prison last night. What is your comments about that? Because as you know, the Erdogan regime is showing signs of a war against women, especially the Kurdish women politicians. So what is your call? What is your support? What is your message about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so important to boycott Turkey, is that it's not just about all of the atrocities that the Erdogan regime's committing. It's also about what they're trying to suppress. And what they're trying to suppress is a women's revolution. And I think Leyla Goran is a really clear example of this. And she's one of many thousands of women who have been attacked and suppressed and killed by the regime. And I think it is that killing of an alternative and of an alternative promise that is so powerful. And I think that's why so many people here are beginning to kind of get behind it, because it's not just about the negatives and the atrocities. It's about the alternative possibility that could be built if we are able to resist the Erdogan regime. Yeah.
Thank you. Dear Esther Lutz from Boycott Turkey Campaign, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your comments.
No, thank you.
Thanks.